Welcome to the Chopin channel. I'm Roberto Poli. Among the nearly 40 works by Chopin published by Julian Fontana between 1851 and 1859 with the blessings of the composer's family, figured a number of songs on Polish texts. 16 of them were published in Berlin as Opus 74 in 1857. Of these, 2 had been previously published in Kiev, Życzenie in 1837 and Wojak in 1839. The song titled Śpiew z Mogilki was published independently in Berlin in 1857 with the French title Chant du Tombeau, Hymn from the Tomb, and was eventually included as part of Opus 74. 2 other songs were discovered and published in 1910, bringing the total to 19. The 19 songs that survived might not embody a particularly relevant contribution to the genre of the song with instrumental accompaniment, the way Schubert's Lieder do. Yet, just as his mazurkas, they represent a sort of lyrical diary that accompanied Chopin's life, spanning the 2 decades of his compositional career, and perhaps revealing to us a cross-section of his Polishness. The painful destiny of Poland, invaded by the Russians only a month after Chopin left Warsaw in 1830, was obsessively in Chopin's thoughts as he began to gravitate in fashionable Parisian circles and connect with many of the expatriated Poles who found refuge in the French capital. Eventually, Chopin's failure to extend his passport at the Russian embassy in accordance to the Tsarist rules had by default made him a political refugee, a fact that prevented him from legally returning to Poland. Music, then, seems to have carried a crucial responsibility in expressing the emotional separation from his homeland. There is a nostalgic sentiment of longing in Chopin's 19 songs, and they evoke endless hints of patriotism, from the many inclusions of mazurka-like themes often associated to lighthearted texts, to the use of dirge-like drones as backdrops for tragic verses that depict a Poland devastated by the oppressor. But for Chopin, it was not only about the endurance of a national spirit, of which he naturally understood the importance. It was especially a matter of identifying with the disastrous effects of the 1830 uprising and the consequent expatriation of the many Poles who found refuge in other European countries. Despite the fact that he had left just days before the Russian invasion, Chopin spiritually became one of them. In the song Życzenie, written in 1827 and published as Opus 74 No. 1, the use of a mazurka as a stage for the rather simple set of verses is free, genuine. Its joyful intonation in the key of G major is only occasionally perturbed by brief modulations to its relative minor. Four measures from this song are particularly relevant to our exploration, as they present a curious occurrence. As we become acquainted with other works that Chopin did not plan to publish, we realize that this phrase is not exclusive to the song Życzenie. In 1830, Chopin wrote a short piece for his sister Ludwika, untitled, with the inscription, "To my sister Ludwika," as an exercise before beginning the study of my second concerto. It was a potpourri of ideas which included the popular French horn motif that so prominently appears in the third movement of the concerto. The measures from the melody we observed in the song Życzenie make here a brief appearance, although they're set in a different time signature, 4/4 instead of 3/4. The piece, published only in 1875, was at first referred to as lento con gran espressione, the tempo marking indicated by Chopin at the beginning of the manuscript. Over time, it has come to be known as the posthumous nocturne in C-sharp minor, an attribution that likely stemmed from its melancholy, dreamy nature. The quoting of the four measures from Życzenie continued in another work as well, the Waltz in A-flat major, published posthumously in 1855 as Opus 69 No. 1, which features a strikingly similar four-bar period, inharmonically related to the measures we observed in the Lento con gran espressione. We may understand why Chopin chose not to publish the Waltz in A-flat major when we learn that no less than 3 autonomous versions of the piece were completed to serve as what we call today presentation autographs, gifts to friends, acquaintances, and titled nobility, often found in private albums and penned with elegant calligraphy. The first copy was prepared in 1835 for Maria Wodzinska. The second, 2 years later, bore the dedication to Madame Peruzzi, gift of Frédéric Chopin, 1837. And the third, 5 years later, was inscribed to Miss Charlotte de Rothschild, gift Frédéric Chopin, Paris, 1842. With several copies of the same piece used as personal gifts, the publication of the waltz would have been unsuitable, in particular when we consider the purpose of the first copy, given to Maria Wodzinska as a gift while Chopin was briefly engaged to her between 1835 and 1836. This subtle thread woven through the song Życzenie, the Nocturne in C-sharp minor, and the Waltz in A-flat major, in a four-bar phrase, transcends its musical simplicity. Yes, Chopin may have quoted himself, but more than a mere self-quotation, the reuse of a melodic idea over the span of a few years suggests particular significance. In a body of work that is undeniably introspective and emotionally rich, these recurring gestures act like a sort of musical signature, in this case, tying together very different moments from his private life.